What's up, everybody? This is Rich at Embarrassment of Riches, and I just wanted to check in and maybe give some thoughts of mine on this new Vinyl Me Please Def Jam 40th anniversary I Need a Beat box set. So this box set is a 5 LP 9 record set that is supposed to be a collection of the best of Def Jam records. I will have to disagree as a fan of Def Jam from pretty much the beginning. As much as a West Coast kid can probably be there at the beginning, I was there buying their singles in 1984, so that's pretty early. Yes, so this is a 9 LP 5 album box set of Def Jam records that was curated and picked by somebody. I'm not exactly sure who or why, now that I'm really thinking about it. I'm obviously not as pleased as I could have been, and here are some reasons why. First and foremost, like I've mentioned in previous videos, among all the other music that I do enjoy and really, really love, hip-hop was pretty much the thing for me right after I was a Beatles fan when I was a child. I've been listening to hip-hop music since 1979, 1980. Very long time if you consider how goddamn old I am right now, which is 53. That's a long time. I would also like to say that I am a member of Vinyl Me Please, and have been so with only a short break for about 8 years now. And overall, I'm very, very satisfied with their service. I am usually quite happy with their offerings, and especially their store of exclusives, but even when I wasn't happy with what they had before they had the swaps, it at least offered me a chance to have music that was outside of my narrow field of vision, because there's 4 or 5 genres that I really enjoy and some that I just don't want to touch at all. And every once in a while, Vinyl Me Please would slip one in there in their monthly records that was a surprise to me, and I would listen to it and actually enjoy it and keep it in my collection. That's a good curated service in my opinion, and they are head and shoulders above the competition in that respect, because I know there are a few, well, now there's probably many monthly record clubs that will curate selections for you. And every once in a while, one of those places like Magnolia or one of the other ones, they'll hit a grand slam. They'll get a really good exclusive that Vinyl Me Please does not. But overall, I'd say 90% of the time, the best titles do come from Vinyl Me Please, and that's why I stay. I have also gladly defended them to naysayers and recommended them to friends of mine as a service I think is very valuable. And I think one thing that the naysayers and fans alike can say about Vinyl Me Please is that the customer service is absolutely top-notch. Any problems are taken care of very quickly, with very few questions asked on their end. They really are concerned with customer service, and that's one of the reasons I stay with them. They do catch a lot of shit online for various reasons, most of which I don't think is earned, but I will agree that sometimes the choices they make for their releases are pretty mystifying, and that's what led to me canceling for a number of months about 5 years ago until they got their shit back on track. And it's been largely very, very satisfactory ever since. I will definitely say that this is a topic I might be too passionate about to not get a little hyped up in my disappointment for the final product, because as I had said before, I had been a fan of Def Jam recordings and their releases, especially their singles. In 1984, I started purchasing their singles, and every time I went into a record store afterwards, pretty much up until about 1990. If I saw a Def Jam sleeve in the singles bin, I had a good idea that it was going to be something really excellent that I needed to add to my collection. Really, when you consider it, the period of 1984 to 1990 might be, to my mind, the longest streak of sustained musical excellence by any label. Maybe Motown had a hotter streak many, many years ago, and it was equaled again in the mid to late 1990s, I believe, by Epitaph Records. But it's a rare thing, And it got me very excited when I saw the pre-release blurb that they were going to release a Def Jam box. I thought, awesome. The Def Jam label has enough stuff in their catalog, not to mention their vaults. They have enough stuff in their regular catalog of the first 20 years of their excellent music releases. They could make 2 10 LP box sets worth of music that I would want to hear. I can't really speak to them post 1990-ish, early 1990s. After that, there's not been a whole lot that I love. But when you're talking about Def Jam and you're going to release a box set, it would seem that it would behoove you to at least speak some on the early releases, which gave them this prominence. So the question any Golden Age hip-hop fan will be asking themselves is, why release this middling monolith of a box with no hope of having anything to follow in the future? This isn't volume 1. This is what it is, and they're only making 750 of these, and it's never going to be repressed again. Did Vinyl Me Please sit at the table with the Def Jam executives and say, these are the albums that we want, and these are the ones that we're going to include in the box? Or was it Def Jam across the table saying, these are the ones you're getting, this is what you're going to release? Either way, this was not the box that I or many other hip-hop fans had in mind when we had seen the blurb that they were releasing an LP box set from Vinyl Me Please to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Def Jam. And while I'm not angry at either party, I will use a very parental phrase when I say that I'm not mad at you, Vinyl Me Please and Def Jam. I'm just disappointed. My complaints are largely as a hip-hop fan of a certain age, because I am happy to see Public Enemy, EPMD, and even Scarface represented in this. But the records that are included in this are easy to find, fairly reasonably priced, I would say. So all we're getting, and there's no remaster, there's no remix, all we're getting is it in a box and at a different color than we previously have had before. Is that enough to warrant $329 if you're a member? Most of these records in the box set have had recent represses that have allowed the price that was previously seen for the originals to come down. You can get almost all of these as affordable releases in the 25 to 30, maybe slightly above range if you're really into it. Now, my main bone of contention for even getting upset at this is the missed opportunity from both sides, Vinyl Me Please and Def Jam. Both of them are extremely short-sighted by not making this a box set of a different kind. Hip-hop fans know for sure that what made Def Jam Records that incredible company from an early stage was the excellence of their 12-inch singles, which was all they had up until about late 1985, early 1986. Walking into a record store at that time and seeing the maroon label from the originals or the black label Def Jam singles that were to follow, you knew that something good was there. But in this box we have EPMD, who had already had 2 great albums on Fresh Records, Strictly Business and Unfinished Business. So they were already legends, and the same can be said for Scarface, who I believe at the time he came to Def Jam had about 7 records from the Rap-A-Lot label down south that he was already legendary for. So there's no new ground being broken with new artists at that point. It'd been a long time before Def Jam was going to break a new artist post mid-1990s. So I'm going to make a suggestion for what would have made a much better box, and anybody at that table who cared about hip-hop would have thought the same, I believe. What should have happened is they could have released a box chronologically of the 12-inch singles that Def Jam released from 1984 till as far as they wanted to go, but certainly until at least 1989. Of course, we're going to rule out the first 2 releases from Def Jam because that's just Rick Rubin playing around with parody cover songs and experimentalist punk rock, maybe you could call it, but it's not very good, and I'm sure he would say the same. They're very rare, hard to find records and actually kind of pricey. I haven't been able to find them. The completist in me wants to find them, but to pay $75 to $100 for a 7-inch record that I have no chance of ever playing is pretty low on my priority list right now. The first box could have been the first 10 releases from Def Jam Records in chronological order as a Volume 1 box set, because the first record post Rick Rubin experimentalism is I Need a Beat from LL Cool J. The name of the fucking box set, and yet LL Cool J, who you could say was building this label early as one of their very first successful artists, LL Cool J is not represented anywhere in this box other than that they took a title of a song and slapped it on the front of the box. They could have put any of his first 4 albums in here. Any of them. At number 2, the second record released from Def Jam in this golden age, is the Beastie Boys record Rock Hard. A very unpolished early Beastie Boys thing, but the B-side is the eternal classic Party's Getting Rough, and you get an idea of where these guys are going. No Beastie Boys in this entire box set. I repeat, no Beastie Boys in this box set. Moving along. Number 3, Tila Rock and Jazzy J, It's Yours. If I have to explain anything about this record to you, you are not familiar with Golden Age hip hop, and I suggest you go out and listen to this record. Then come back to me.
A few moments later.
Are we good? Did you listen? It's essential. Number 4, Def Jam, is I Can Give You More and Can't Live Without My Radio from LL Cool J. Despite the mystifying decision to put I Can Give You More as the A-side, this record is still incredible because of the first time we get to hear Can't Live Without My Radio, which is absolutely a b-boy anthem that summer. Moving on to number 5. It keeps getting better and better. Number 5 is the Beastie Boys with She's On It. Very early and still unpolished Beasties. Funny song, but the true genius starts to be seen in the B-side, which is Slow and Low. Really gives you a hint of what these cats were getting into and where they were going to go. And as an addendum, if anybody is a fan of the deep dive of hip-hop history, I would suggest you look for, I think it's the 20th anniversary edition of Run DMC's King of Rock. It's only on CD because they still don't release LPs with expanded editions as like the second albums, the B-sides and demos and all that cool stuff. But on that version of King of Rock, on the second disc, was Run DMC doing their version of Slow and Low as a demo. It didn't make the album, and thank God for that, because that album was awesome and it's one of my favorites. But Slow and Low is a Beastie Boys song, and although, you know, sometimes they lent their rhymes out to other people, in this case it would not have worked, so I'm glad that the Beasties kept that one. So we're at number 6, which is LL Cool J with Rock the Bells. It just keeps getting higher and higher, the game, every time that they're releasing a record at this time. Rock the Bells, this is the original version. It would be re-recorded and released within a year as not a very, very different song, but a different song. I believe they're both incredible. I think I prefer their newer one overall, but I still listen to both of them. And again, at that time, if you were into hip-hop, you could not escape this song. Everybody loved this song. Number 7 is LL Cool J again with You'll Rock and I Need a Beat. Again, re-released a year after the first. Name of the box set, More Immortal Greatness from Uncle L. Number 8 is one at the time I somehow missed at the store, and it's just as well. I mean, I would buy it as a completist, but it's not essential in any respect to the collection I'm trying to put together. It's the Junkyard Band with The Word, and the B-side is more recognized. It's a song called Sardines. Instrumental DC go-go stuff. It's pretty cool. I mean, how often did Rick Rubin produce go-go music? It's solid and interesting music, and I would be curious to find out why they never got to release an album on Def Jam. I'm sure there's an interesting story behind that. Their debut album was on another label in 1991. So they went through many years of not having an album released, and I'm curious about stuff like that. Number 9 is the aforementioned re-recording of Rock the Bells that turned it into a much harder song. And it's a song that has shaken the windows and floors of every place I have lived since 1985. Just ask around. The B-side is very enjoyable, not incredibly essential in many respects, but it's very enjoyable. It's El Shabazz, which is just a b-boy routine that had to be something that LL and E-Love perfected in L's grandma's basement or something. It's just them talking shit back and forth. It's a lot of fun, and it's of a moment to me because it was the first time I heard the word motherfucker on a record, and it changed a young man's life. I overuse that word so much in my daily life that it's not even funny. But I do remember having to turn down this song when I was playing it so I wouldn't get in trouble with my parents and have my mom throw away the record or something, because they weren't having that in 1985. They already greatly disliked rap music at that time, and it was only going to get worse for them. Finally, at number 10, with the true first LP released by Def Jam. And of course, it's going to be LL Cool J with his immortal hip-hop classic, Radio. Just listen to it if you haven't already. I believe it's a watershed moment in the history of independently recorded music for sure. It's a moment. That is just the first 10 releases, people. There's nothing on there except for Slow and Low from the Beastie Boys' first album that changed everything in hip-hop music. There's nothing from the first 3 Public Enemy records. Their string of hit singles was long and distinguished as well. We don't even get to see Orange Juice Jones doing The Rain. No, that was an awesome song. I recommend you go and find that song if you have not heard it, you silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. And I believe that the greatest weight of the guilt in this does not lie with Vinyl Me Please, who had to deal with whatever they had access to. It's on Def Jam for their very short-sightedness. This is a problem they've had for a long time. They did release a CD, I think a 2 CD or 3 CD box set 10 years ago for the 30th anniversary of the label that had, I think the first disc was inspirational songs. So it's hip-hop prior to 1984. It's all really good, Treacherous 3 and stuff like that. And then there's Beastie Boys and Public Enemy and Davey D and stuff like that. But a CD box set from a label that was built on vinyl. Mystifying. I would say I have no words, but I've just given you a ton of them. So, thanks for sticking around. That is just my 2 cents on this thing because it incensed me so when they released what was going to be in this box. I would not pay $50 for this box. I've already got the Scarface, PMD, and Public Enemy from this. You gotta give me something other than fucking different colored vinyl. Like, you cannot keep selling old rope. Do it better. Do the chronological edition. Make it a fucking record store day thing next year. I'll buy fucking 5 of them. I hope everybody in the vinyl community and their families are doing great. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all next time. in my mind, what would have made this set legendary. Fuck. Number 4. Ugh. I have also defended them for a little. So the question is, why release this middling monolith? Fuck.